Georgia here again. Thanks for tuning in to our YouTube channel, Army Ernst. Today I want to talk about basic training. Basic is a 10-week training period where your soldiers in training will learn all the different things they need to do to become successful soldiers in the U.S. Army. During this time, they are considered soldiers in training, and once their basic is complete, they will be officially considered soldiers of the U.S. Army. So basic training will happen in one of 5 training bases. We have Fort Benning in Georgia, Fort Jackson in South Carolina, Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, which is where my husband did his basic training, Fort Sill in Oklahoma, and then Fort Knox in Kentucky. So all soldiers in training will be sent to one of those 5 bases to complete their 10-week training, followed by their AIT training, which we'll get into in a different video. In basic, your soldier in training will get paid for all the time that they are in their training, whether it's basic or AIT, they do get paid during that time. Their pay is based on their rank. Most go in as E1 or E2, unless they're on the officer path. They might go in a little higher, and that's usually accompanied with some college education. So if they go in with a degree or something like that, they might be a higher rank, but most soldiers go in E1, E2. You can look up online the pay chart for what to expect if you're like E1, E2, and officer. All that will be listed. I will try to post a link down below to one of those pay charts. Keep in mind it is changing yearly, so always look for the most up-to-date one. A simple Google search, Army soldier pay grades, should give you the results you need to find that information. But like I said, I will try to post a link down below to a good site with all that pay information based on rank. So what do your soldiers in training need to bring for basic? The best source you want is to talk to your recruiter. They will print you off a list of things that they will need. The basics are like a t-shirt, plain underwear, plain socks, running shoes. They're going to want like travel size shampoos, conditioners, toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that. Just basically the necessities. Pictures are allowed, so you can bring pictures. Things to write letters like paper, stamps, envelopes, things like that will also be allowed. So even the items you do bring, usually they want unscented for everything. Again, this changes more so in AIT, but for basic, everything should be unscented unless they specifically say otherwise. Anything extra, so anything extra that they pack and they can't have, the drill sergeants will hold on to and give back to them at the end of their training. Things like candy, snacks, that won't be allowed. So some things keep in mind you can't have alcohol, you can't have tobacco products, pornography, let's see, weapons, guns, obviously knives, anything like that. Food, like I said, candies, snacks, things like that you won't be allowed to have there. Later on in their training, at AIT, they're allowed to have more of that stuff, but basic, it's very strict with the rules, so none of that. Any kind of drug, unless it's a prescription, you're not going to be able to bring. On base, there will be stores where they can go and buy shampoo, conditioner, soaps, any clothing, anything like that that they'll need. It will either be provided or they will be able to buy on base. When they first get there, they will get a card with a pay advance, which is around $300. And they will use this card to buy all their necessities. So you don't have to worry about it. I do believe there is a limit to a $50 cash that they can bring along with them. Anything more than that, they're not allowed to have, but they will have access to their money. So you don't need to worry about that. They'll be able to buy everything they need. As for paperwork, Besides their ID, unless they specifically say, they shouldn't need to bring much. Everything will have been scanned into their files prior to them leaving for basic training. So you don't need to necessarily bring your social security card, birth certificate, things like that, unless specifically asked to. But in most cases, you won't need that because everything will be on file already. There will be time for phone calls. Post-COVID, they have been allowed a 30-minute Sunday call. All right, so what to expect, the breakdown of basic training. So when your soldier in training first gets there, they're going to be in reception. This will last about a week. So reception is the time they're going to come in, they're going to do their physicals, they're going to get a drug screening. No drugs can be in their system. They're going to do any necessary paperwork they need to have done. They're going to get their uniforms. They're going to get all their any other training equipment, things like that that they all need. So they're going to get all that ready. They're going to get their hair buzzed down if they're guys. So this is just the entry thing. Also with COVID, they use this as a quarantine time. So the first week is pretty boring. So when they first get there, you'll get just a real short 10-second, 30-second call saying, hey, I made it to fort. I made it to base. I'm good. And then you'll probably get another call eventually with an address. Again, it's a scripted call. They can't really say much. It's like maybe a minute call. They'll call, they'll say their name, they'll say, this is my address, this is where I am. I did want to also mention a little cheat if you're not sure what the address is, or when your soldier in training called and you weren't able to write down their whole address and you just don't know what it is, you can log on to the Sandbox app. If you receive that text message from your soldier in training, they will have linked their information to your number, and you will be able to go in there, find them, and find their address that way. You'll be able to see what company they're in because that's included in their address along with their actual address. So you don't necessarily need to use Sandbox app. Once you get that address either from your soldier in training or through the app, you could just use that to write yourself, or like I said, you can use it for information to figure out what company they are in. So what it is it's an app that you can type up a letter to your soldier in training, and you pay them and they print it off and mail it to whatever base they're at on their own. So the thing about Sandbox is it is owned by a third party. So even though they partner with the Army doesn't actually own it. And it can be convenient. Some people really like it because you can add a picture or picture collage along with your letter. There is a limited amount of characters per letter, so keep that in mind. The downside that I found to the app is it's about $3-4 per letter to send it because, like I said, it's a third-party app. So they are partnered with the military. The military doesn't own it. So that means they're trying to make money, though, on people. So that's fine. Just be aware of that. For me personally, I like to go to the post office, buy a book of stamps for, $12, and then I had how many more letters I could send for the same price as sending like 3 Sandbox letters. But that's up to you if you like it or not. I mainly used it when I want to send my husband pictures of the kids or myself, things like that. On the 30-minute calls, it won't be scripted. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But on the first call, I do just want to point out, a lot of soldiers are very unhappy in reception. It's very boring. It's a lot of standing around. It's a lot of waiting. It's the shock of transitioning to this new lifestyle. There's a lot of rules. They're having their first taste of the drill sergeants. Everything's really strict. They're getting used to waking up super early. They're getting used to doing their PT in the morning. So I just want to mention, if you get a call from your soldier on a Sunday or something during this time and they sound defeated, they sound not happy, they're saying, oh, this was a mistake, I don't want to do this, just keep encouraging them. This is the worst, from what my husband said, the worst time of all of basic training because it is so boring. It is just shocking and used to everything, and it's a lot of waiting around. You're not doing a lot of interesting things. You're not really allowed to talk. You're not allowed a lot of freedoms at this point. So, you're new, you don't know anyone, you're not allowed to do anything. It's just very boring and overwhelming. So again, you might get a call during this time with your soldier, maybe sounding like they're not loving life in the army. Just let them know it's going to get better. This is the worst of it. As soon as they get through to the first actual weeks of training, they're going to enjoy it much, much more. It's going to be much more stimulating mentally and physically. They're going to make those bonds with their fellow soldiers in training, and it's going to be a lot better. After your soldier in training makes it through reception, which again is about a week, they will be assigned to a company and a platoon, and they will be officially doing their red phase. So red phase is the first phase of 3 main training phases during basic training. So red phase will be right after the reception week, going, like I said, about 3 weeks, starting with week 2, going week 2, 3, and 4. So during this time, they're going to have a lot of different things. They're going to learn how to do their marching. They're going to start learning about the ethics. They're going to be, like I said, doing a lot of the PT training. They're going to be learning the warrior ethos. They're going to learn the soldier's creed, which they're going to have to memorize both of those. And they'll have plenty of time too in reception to kind of work on that stuff because they will get an informational packet. My husband had said that had a lot of this stuff in it for him to practice and memorize. So what is the white phase of basic training? Well, it is the second phase out of 3 of the basic training process. This will be weeks roughly 4 through 6. They'll be learning to work with their firearms, which are M16A1 assault rifles. So they'll be learning the basic maintenance and handling of them. They will also have a marksmanship test where they need to score 28 out of 40. They're going to have to identify explosive. They're going to be working on throwing live hand grenades at this time. They're going to be training on advanced weapons like machine guns. They might have some tank training. So they will start with targets closer and then proceed to get further back. And they'll have to pop up and they'll have to shoot them. And like I said, 28 out of 40 is what they need to pass. The final phase of the 3 is the blue phase. A lot of people say this is the hardest of the 3 phases because it is very heavy in PT physical training, including tests they have to pass to be able to move on to AIT. There is a night combat course that they must complete, as well as training for if there's battle in urban areas that they have to complete. And also there's a big field exercise called the Forge. The Forge is probably the most important training situation that the soldiers in training will be in during their whole time at basic. It is a 96-hour training event where the soldiers in training will have to prove that they've learned and mastered all the things that they need to know throughout the 10 weeks of basic training. It started at 3 a.m. for my husband, so he got up at 3 a.m. and did a 10-mile march, and that's how they started the Forge. And then throughout the 3 days it takes to complete the Forge, they would stay sleeping in tents outside, and then in between the days they would do different training activities. Like I said, they would do different patrol style trainings where they had to focus on different strategies and different logistics, and they would have to work out different scenarios and work through them. They did lots of battle drills, lots of tactics, They also did a lot of foot patrols, and all this is designed to really be mentally hard on them, but also to show them how much they can accomplish and how much they can do, as well as test what they can do and test that knowledge that they have. Overall, they work on all the different things they learn from each of the phases, and they're put in different situations so they can prove that they know how to do all these things. During the forge is also when people make and display forge lanterns, which I'm going to make a video on that because I thought that was a cool little tradition. The forge ends with a rite of passage, which is where the trainees get to put on their berets for the first time, which signals that they have actually completed all their basic training and they are now U.S. soldiers. But anyway, so after the forge is graduation week, which is obviously really exciting. Graduation week, as long as your soldier passed all the running, physical fitness, marksmanship requirements, they will have, and did all the required activities, they will be graduating. Graduating is very exciting. This is when families have an opportunity to go to base and visit. Usually there's a graduation and family day that are like back to back. So this will be your time to go and celebrate with your soldier. There'll be a ceremony, which I'm going to make a video about the actual ceremony, but they'll come for ours. They came marching on the field at Fort Leonard Wood. We went to Gammon Field, and my husband's company, along with two other companies, graduated the same day, so they came marching on the field. They were chanting while they marched, which was really cool. And then they don't call them up specifically by name, but it was still nice because we got to see him. He came marching by. They introduced the companies. Then after that, they were dismissed to hang out the rest of the day until that night with us. And then the next day we had family day. So that's just a general rundown of basic training. You can always look it up too if you want like a more in-depth of what they're going to be doing per week. Like I said, a lot of this time they are just going to be transitioning into soldier life. They're going to be getting used to the rules. They're going to be getting used to the drill sergeants. They're going to be getting used to chow. Because chow, even just eating, there's a lot of rules for that. They're going to be getting used to following orders. So I hope that gives you a general idea of what your soldier in training is up to during this time. If you have any other questions or comments, leave a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if this was helpful. I would love to hear your feedback on what you enjoy hearing or what you want to know about. Thanks for watching my video. I'm Taja. Till next time.